Hello everyone and welcome to your weekly weather update for the Public Lands Council, being brought to you by Ag Risk Advisors and WSR Insurance Services Incorporated. Well, here we are, October already, going right on into the start of fall in many areas. So far this fall has brought a wide variety of weather to the United States, hurricanes in Florida and the southeast, and what has been a fairly warm start to fall so far across many areas of the West, but also what has been some periods of moisture. And there is a cooler, wet period of weather this weekend and early next week for parts of the Rockies and the far western and northern plains. And we're going to continue to have more rain and thunderstorms in New Mexico and Colorado and parts of Utah and Arizona, squeezing out a little more fall precipitation there, while we don't see a lot in the Pacific Northwest or the Central Plains. But there will be a narrow area of precipitation and cooler weather for some parts of the West. We, at the moment, at least for another week here, I think we've got another week where there's no severe cold outbreak or snow on the plains. We don't see that yet. In many areas, we've gone by the average first frost or freeze date, as we haven't had a lot of cold this fall. Little episodes of cooler weather, but nothing too cold. And for another week, we're going to be able to hold that back. The recent Drought Monitor shows that if you compare to where we were a year ago, there are some areas that have shown improvements over the last year. This area in particular, parts of Montana, the Pacific Northwest, but you can see there's tons of color on the map still. Still, a lot of areas of severe drought still occurring. This area here, then of course the Great Basin back into California and Oregon, and then parts of north central Montana have slipped back a bit into those severe drought conditions. So we've got a long way to go. And with La Nina hanging on, at least for 2 or 3 more months, we're going to continue to have that La Nina signature of drier than normal conditions in some areas. Over the last week, precipitation in the west has been a little spotty. The panhandle of Idaho and far northwest Montana doing the best, as well as an area in North Dakota. Still a little bit of shower and thunderstorm activity in the southwestern United States, but not as wet as it was a week ago. Then, of course, you can see what's going on with Hurricane Ian there and the heavy rain in the southeast. This is the precipitation anomaly for the past week. So other than in this area here and up across North Dakota, really no real wet spots. Average to below average precipitation for the last week. Now, as we go through our forecast, this is what we're looking at. We've got a stalled out low over Idaho, Wyoming, and Montana that's going to drift very slowly eastward into the northern plain states this weekend into early next week. So we're going to have parts of the northern Rockies, the central Rockies, as well as parts of the southwestern United States in this area here get some rain this weekend and early next week. This low here shows the remains of Ian, bringing very wet weather to the east, with high pressure here and drier conditions in the central United States and drier conditions as well here under high pressure in the Pacific Northwest. As we transition into next weekend, what we're going to see is the cooler wet pattern in the west this weekend transition to a seasonably mild, generally fair weather pattern with high pressure building in by the next weekend time frame. See this large area of high pressure right here building in? So a lot of the west, once we get past, let's say Monday or Tuesday, is going to have fairly quiet weather, while cooler weather and showers will be heading into the northern plains, northern Corn Belt, the Great Lakes, the northeastern parts of the United States. That's where the coolest and most unsettled weather will be. That's why we think we've got another week here, at least, before we see anything cold or snowy in the west. Just kind of a run-of-the-mill, fairly typical early fall pattern. That's what we see coming in the next week. This is what the precipitation looks like between now and next weekend. You can see the dryness here in the far northwest and then here in the central areas of the United States. But we have 2 areas. What's left of Ian here, and this is part of that low coming through the northern Rockies this weekend and moisture coming up out of Mexico. So you can see here, New Mexico, Arizona, Colorado, parts of Utah, Wyoming, the West Dakotas, Montana, going to get a decent amount of rainfall and some high elevation snow with that storm system. So it's good to see that moisture. Recent trends towards cooler conditions and more moisture certainly has helped out with the wildfire situation. And at least for the northern and central and southern Rockies, this rain and cooler weather will help out the fire dangers there. Our next update will be next Saturday the 8th. Have a great week ahead.